I think this is Odell's way of indirectly telling the Cleveland Browns and Baker Mayfield to just throw me the damn ball. Better yet, just put the ball in my hands somehow, some way, reverses, receiver passes, whatever it's going to be. Just get me the ball. And I like this from Odell. He knows his place. He knows his positioning. He knows he's one of the best receivers in the game still. And a receiver like Odell, he knows when he's open. He knows when he's not. So he's being very demanding right now through his talk. I like his actions. I like what he's saying. I like him stepping up and being a leader. You know, we've been saying this for a long time. The offense got to run through Odell in order for the Cleveland Browns to even have a slight chance at winning the game against the Indianapolis Colts this week. Get Odell the damn ball. He deserves it.
Nice.
Yeah, but Mike, I want to pull back some layers right now because 2 weeks ago he came out and said, you know what, I'm accepting that, you know, it's not going to be a big year for me. I'm gonna accept just being average, right? And that's showing that I am growing. And now he's coming out and he's saying, oh, I am faster. I'm stronger than I was. To me, it's confusing. It's conflicted. And I think the reason why is because as wide receivers, I want to get your perspective on this because if you play with any wide receivers that you had to pull to the side and just say, look, man, this is the situation. We're trying to get you the ball, or maybe you should approach it differently because I feel like Odell should feel comfortable in his own skin walking into the facility and demanding greatness, not out of himself and also out of his teammates, holding people accountable. Like, you should never walk in and say, I want to be average, because Odell, like you said, he knows he's one of the greatest wide receivers in the game, one of the great receivers in the game right now. He knows he can go for 1,500 yards a year, 15 touchdowns. He knows that. So why would you settle for less? Yeah. I think that the challenge for us wide receivers at time, Mike, is how we communicate that. You know, like, how do we walk into the facility and communicate with the head coach, communicate with the offensive coordinator, communicate with the quarterback? Like, listen, I want to be great, but I want to win. Let's start there first. Team is always first. I want to win, but second, I want to be great. And I think Odell's in this interesting moment, Mike, where he's trying to figure out how to communicate with the people around him.
Yeah, and I also think that Odell has watched Baker Mayfield in its entirety and watched him closely. And everything that Baker says is scrutinized. He's saying too much. He's not saying enough. And I think he has his quarterback's back to a certain extent, to where he kind of, you know, just takes the back seat, or he's taking the back seat and watched everything happen and unfold. It's not the case now. Odell in this sixth year, you know, it's time for him to step up. You know, it's nothing wrong with him being a leader. He's earned that right to speak up and speak out and let his teammates hear his voice. And that's going to reverberate around the locker room. And, you know, he'll continue to gain respect, the utmost respect from his peers. And it's just time for, you know, this team in its entirety to step up big and accept the challenges that they are facing, because, you know, at the end of the day, you know, this team will be heavily scrutinized if they don't make the playoffs, and it's time for voices to be heard. You know, I expect Jarvis Landry, and I expect, you know, guys like, you know, Denzel Ward and Myles Garrett to step up big time and start being a voice, you know, for this football team. So I'm excited about what Odell is doing. I expect them to have a big week this week, and it's all going to be predicated on how Baker Mayfield find ways to get Odell the ball.
I also think Odell's feeling emboldened for a couple of reasons. Not just because he's finally fully healthy, but also because of how that game ended. We all know, Jarvis early in the game throws the bomb to Odell on the trick play. It was a great throw by Jarvis. But that final play of the game, or the final meaningful play of the game, which we're going to show you in a second, the more I watch it, the more absolutely insane it is to me that they called this play and that it didn't end in disaster. If you remember the context of it, the Cowboys had all the momentum, if that's a thing you believe in. They were going to, if they forced a 3 and out, have plenty of time, and they were down only 3 points. And on first down, They run a reverse to Odell that, by the way, the defensive end almost bats down the toss. That would have been a turnover. And then almost gets Odell for a 12-yard loss. So, and if he gets tackled in the backfield there, we are talking about the Cowboys once again pulling one out of the fire. And we're talking about a meltdown in Cleveland. Jenna would still be on a high if it's 6 days later talking about the way that game went. Jenna's a little high just thinking about the possibility of it. So I do wonder, Wilds, if part of why Odell is speaking the way he is right now is he watched that film too. And I wonder if when he's watching the film there was a moment of, God dog it, man. Look at what I did. Like, look, I know he knows how good he is, but seeing it on
Nick,
Brandon,
let me tell you. Let me tell you, to that point of him watching film, this is what's happening. When you watch film come Monday, if you didn't watch it on Sunday on the plane or when you landed, what you're looking at is all the missed opportunities. So you're looking at, man, I was backside. It was 3rd and 1. We went the other direction. We didn't get it. Then we had to punt. So Odell is probably looking at those missed opportunities and looking at like, man, I could have went for 200 more yards and we would have won this game easily. So to your point, I think it's a good one. But I just think that Odell needs to, it starts with him and how he communicates with his team. Because for me, my first 4 years, I struggled being able to walk into the locker room and talk to my quarterback, talk to the offensive coordinator, like, look, how can I help the team? I'm seeing this on film. I feel that I can beat this guy in this way, but it came off the wrong way. It took me year 5, year 6 to be able to walk up to, a Fitzpatrick, a Jay Cutler and say, look, this is what I'm seeing. Here's 3-4 plays where if we do this, we can beat them. The Cincinnati Bengals did it against this team last year, and this is the example. And when I started communicating that way, I started seeing them respond to me in a healthier way. So Odell's in an interesting point right now in his career where he's learning how to control his emotions and then also communicate.
Mike, I want to read you some stats from the Colts defense that are just like best in the league. Their longest play they've given up is 33 yards through the air. They've given up 637 yards through the air total. 159 yards a game, 5 TDs. So when you're going up against a stout defense, to me it feels like there's 2 avenues. Do you get more conservative, let's play our game, or do you start doing weird stuff like we saw in the Dallas game, Jarvis Landry throwing the ball and these weird reverses from Odell? So do you expect the Browns to get more conservative or more creative?
No, I expect the Cleveland Browns to come out and try to run the football. I think last week they established that they are a true heavily run-oriented team, and they can win football games like that. So the test is going to be in the trenches for the Cleveland Browns. And the Colts is a very stout, very ball-controlled defense. They understand, gap assignments and alignments, and they do a great job of, getting stops in the backfield and getting to the quarterback. But this is going to be a great test for the Cleveland Browns. I think this is their biggest challenge yet, and it'll tell us a lot about the Cleveland Browns and how good of a football team they really are.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.